What's up, guys? John coming at you with back pain myth number 3. You should not lift, carry, or do anything heavy. Sorry, that's just false. That's completely false. The truth is, your spine actually needs to be able to be strong against those types of things. Because how do people get hurt? They get hurt picking things up. They get hurt carrying heavy things. They get hurt putting things on their back or carrying them up overhead, right? Those are the mechanisms that people get hurt. In fact, I see people get hurt when they say, oh yeah, I kind of like leaned forward to grab something off the counter and I felt my back go, right? Or I bent down to pick up the laundry basket. Guys, I promise you, it's not reaching or picking up a laundry basket that hurt you. It was the fact that your spine could not handle the excess load. You may say, well, the laundry basket wasn't even that heavy. Exactly, that's the entire point. We don't carry enough heavy objects. We don't lift enough heavy objects. We don't pick up or pull up enough heavy objects, right? So the myth that you shouldn't be picking up heavy objects, you shouldn't deadlift because deadlifting is bad for you. You shouldn't carry heavy weights. Honestly, that's just the farthest thing from the truth, all right? You have to carry heavy weights. You have to lift up heavy weights. You have to pull heavy things. You basically have to prepare your body to do things that you're going to ask it to do. So, lifting heavier weights is actually what prepares you and makes your muscle stronger, makes your body stronger, makes your body able to handle those external loads, right? And that's really the important thing there is external load. Most of the time, we're okay with our regular body weight and gravity, but it's the second we start to lift things or add additional weight to us, right? That changes the game. It changes the equation just a little bit. So we love people getting into deadlifting heavy things. Why? Because with either a hex bar or a barbell, you actually teach your body with proper form how to lift things up from the ground. You are able to teach your spine how to stay neutral, stable, and strong under that heavy load. Now, we're not talking about loading it up immediately with heavy weights. We'll start you with maybe a kettlebell deadlift variation. We may even start it kettlebell elevated from a bench or elevated from a stool position, and that's to kind of bring the weight closer to you so you don't have to go as low. Right? And then we'll get lower and lower, and then we'll get heavier and heavier, right? And these are all ways to start to introduce you to those movements without being very dangerous. So that's how we mitigate the risks. So yes, you can get injured deadlifting, but only if you're doing it incorrectly, or if you're biting off more than you can chew, or if you're losing a bet and you're trying to do something silly and something you've never done before. So deadlifting is very, very important. Your ability to lift up and pick up heavy weight from the floor is one of the most important things you should be able to do. So we'll introduce you with very manageable movements. So like I said, a kettlebell variation from an elevated platform, and then maybe we'll go kettlebell to the ground, right? Then we can progress you to a hex bar, right? The thing I like about the hex bar is you can load it up with lots of weight, but it's gonna stay the same height because the Olympic plates are all gonna be the same size, but they're gonna be different weights. So the hex bar is a great variation because it allows you to mitigate the stress by targeting your legs a little bit more than your lower back and your hamstrings. So going to a hex bar variation allows you to get a lot stronger and also allows you to protect your spine a little bit more. So instead of having to hinge as much with a barbell, you're able to let your muscles get a little stronger by handling the weight in a more neutral and favorable position. So, those are excellent variations. We love people to be able to deadlift. And we can guarantee if you're coming in to see us with back pain, you're going to be deadlifting within a few weeks. It just depends on the variation. Squatting, again, squatting is very, very important. You need to be able to handle weight on your body, on top of your shoulders, because that presses down on your body, and we call that an axial load. So that pushes down with gravity onto your spine. And think of a marshmallow. If I press down on a marshmallow top to bottom, the pressure goes out the sides. Same thing happens to your body. If we put a weight on you, either back bar or front, goblet squat, whatever it might be, gravity plus the weight is compressing on your spine, pressure is going out, so that internal pressure inside your body is forcing your muscles to have to stabilize better. Again, a very basic and rudimentary explanation of what's going on, so don't get super technical and picky with me right now. But the point still stands. Weight is pushing down on your spine, and you have to be able to handle that. So we want people to start getting themselves loaded up, again, with more and more progressive variations. So we may start you with a goblet squat from a box before you have you do a free goblet squat all the way to the ground. So a goblet squat from a box is a very safe position because it allows us to have a safety net with the box on the bottom, and then we can start getting heavier and heavier, and then have you go lower and lower until the point where you're ready to kind of hold the weight here and then go to the ground. From there, you can then progress to maybe a front rack position with a barbell, your typical basic front squat variation, which is also great for your torso. It allows your spine to stay a little bit more upright, challenges your core, quote unquote. I hope you guys know that I hate that word by now, but everybody understands it. So front rack variation or a goblet squat, any squat that's loaded in the front is going to challenge your core stabilizers and torso a little bit more. That's why you see more of a vertical trunk position with the front squat. And then we can progress you to more of a back squat if that's something you really wanted to do. Powerlifting, Olympic lifting goes to low bar back squat. So now again, we're not going to get everybody loaded up with those because your goal may not be to be a powerlifter. But we certainly want everybody to be able to do a goblet squat in the front, pretty heavy to the ground, or a front rack position, especially for our athletes that want to get to recreational competition. Those things are very, very important for you. Again, your spine needs to be able to handle those loads. So then the final thing would be a loaded carry. Farmer carries, suitcase carries, these are really, really important. So not only are you staying in a stable position, like with a squat, straight up and down, we're now getting you to carry a heavy, heavy load, but walk a distance. Very important for your spine to be able to handle that dynamic movement, compressing you from top to bottom, right? So gravity's still there. If you're holding the weight down here or even right here, you're still going to have to stabilize against that. So excellent stability for the trunk, pelvis, and hips. So these are really, really important variations that we want people to be able to handle, guys. You can use a Hex Bar to load up a pretty significant amount of weight. Do farmer's carries that way. We'd like you to be able to maybe handle it for 30 seconds to a minute with some pretty heavy weight. Getting up to your body weight, bonus points, right? And then a goblet march variation is also a great way to target a loaded carry or a loaded march, if you don't have a Hex Bar at your disposal. So regardless, these are really, really important for everybody. We want to ditch the idea that you should not lift heavy things or move heavy things if you have back pain or that those are inherently bad for your back. It's quite the opposite. We are very fragile when we don't prepare our bodies for what we're going to have it do. So if you're going to pick things up off the ground, whether it be garbage, a piece of paper, or a child, you have to be able to handle heavy things, or even a suitcase, right? You have to be able to deadlift them off the ground. If you want to sit down into a chair, sit on the toilet, get in and out of a low couch, you have to be able to squat. You have to be able to go low. So these are the kind of things that we really want people to understand. We don't have to do less of heavy movements. We need you to do more heavy movements, okay? So that's a little brief coverage of the back pain myth number 3 for our series here. Deadlifting is not bad for you. Carrying heavy weights is not bad for you. Squatting is not bad for you. None of these things are bad for your back. It's the opposite. They're going to make your back as best as possible. Okay, so I don't want to use the word bulletproof. I think it gets overused, but these are the kind of movements that really prepare your back and get you as strong as you need to be so that you can go about doing your daily life without worrying about throwing your back out by doing something silly like reaching over a coworker's desk or something like that. So move some heavy weights. That's the bottom line, guys. Deadlift, squat, carry. That's the bottom line.